On Sunday, the 29th of October 2017, Trinity House in Victoria Island, Lagos, which is headed by Pastor Itwa Godalo, was the center of national attention as the church auditorium played host to the first mega event of the 2017 edition of the Coson Week, put together by the Copyright Society of Nigeria, Coson. The event, tagged Coson in the Church, was described as a national day of prayer for the progress of Nigeria. The event featured the most captivating gospel singers and most respected ministers of the gospel across Nigeria, who came to sing and pray to God. The host pastor, Pastor Itwa Godalo, presiding Archbishop of Vineyard Christian Ministries Incorporated, Archbishop John Osauni, veteran gospel singer Fumi Aragbaye, foremost gospel singer Kenny Sen Brown, London-based Nigerian singer Pastor Dizzy K. Falola. Dignitaries at the concert were the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Muhammad, the Special Advisor to the Lagos State Government on Religious Matters, Mr. Kolawole Verrells, who represented the Governor, Governor Akinwumi Ambode, publisher of Yes International Magazine, Azua Rinze, publisher of Encomium Magazine, Kunle Bakare, among many others. The red carpet and cocktail event, which was anchored by Lekpashos Bose, began with the national anthem, which was led by Florentina. The chairman of Coson, Chief Tony Okoroji, in his opening remark, said the idea behind Coson Goes to Church is to bring Nigerians together, irrespective of tribe, to sing with one voice and pray to the Almighty God as one.
This program is about the welfare, the well-being, the stability, the progress of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The first performance of the day was the talented 13-year-old female saxophonist, Favor the saxophonist, who led the congregation in a series of praises to God. This was followed by a performance by London-based Nigerian singer Pastor Dizzy K. Falola, best known for his pop hit in the 80s, Baby Kilode.
Now, this is, why don't you hug him? Why don't you hug him? You're going to do like this. I want you to rise up. This will be sitting down too long. It's time to rock to the beat. Let's rise up. Hallelujah. Now, I want you to do this. You're going to hug Jesus Christ, because that's how our life is made better. Now, 1, 2, 3, go. Don't you hug him, I never let him go. Baby, good. Can I hear you singing? Baby, good. Now, you're going to hug him, hug Jesus. Baby, good. Embrace them, because this is all about Jesus' love. Hallelujah. 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 Now, let's do it. Baby. Now we want to hug it. Hug the person next to you.
Dr. Kolawole Verrells, who represented the governor of Lagos State, Governor Akinwumi Ambode, in his goodwill message, said the governor is proud of Coson and its achievements in the past years. He added that Governor Kiwumi Ambode has pledged his unflinching support to help combat piracy.
Very much. I just want to say that we give glory to God that Coson is coming to the church, not outside there. And His Excellency asked me to wish the association that you are doing well and the enabling environment has been created. So what we are doing today is in line with the vision and dream of our amiable governor, and that's why out of every other thing he has requested that I should please be here to give his goodwill to Coson. That you are doing well, and we believe the advocacy of the government to stop people who tap into other people's talent without necessary credit will become a thing of the past very soon.
Prayer sessions were conducted at intervals by Pastor Chris Nwucho and Pastor John Osaoni, who prayed for Nigeria and Coson. There were more musical performances by various gospel music acts who took turns to thrill the congregation. Delta-born gospel singer Essence, veteran Nigerian gospel singer, songwriter and televangelist Fumi Aragbaye,
Come on, everybody. Come on,
foremost gospel singer Kenny Sen Brown and singer Deco all performed. The representative of the federal government of Nigeria at the event, the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, in his goodwill message, relayed President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment to the entertainment industry, adding that the president has put together programs and policies to checkmate piracy in the country. He also pledged to support Coson and the entertainment industry at large.
We are all here today to give support to the collective society of Nigeria Coson and to let this industry, not just the music industry, but the entire music industry, music, film, publishing, theater, fashion, and all that make up the creative industry, to know that the federal government is supportive of this industry. The government will do everything to ensure that the creative industry in Nigeria becomes a creative economy. And we not just say this, we have actually, in the last couple of months, been able to put together programs and policies that have demonstrated our sincere belief that the next oil that this country has is actually in music.
To further spice the event, explicit dancers from Ibadan entertained the congregation with mind-blowing dance moves as part of activities to mark the 2017 Coson Week. A lecture tagged Intellectual Property Rights in the New Global Knowledge Economy was held on Friday, the 30th of October 2017 at the Jupiter Meeting Hall of 4 Points by Sheraton Hotel, Victoria Island, Lagos. It was an event which had in attendance stakeholders and experts on intellectual property, drivers of the Nigerian creative industry, as well as personnel from various media outfits as they rub minds on the way forward for Nigeria's creative industry. Among the many important personalities who graced the occasion were the chief host, Chairman, Copyright Society of Nigeria, Coson, Chief Tony Okoroji, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Jeffrey Onyema, who was the keynote speaker. Emeritus Professor Egerton Eviagara, who was the chairman of the occasion. Veteran sports analyst and CEO Brila FM, Larry Izamoje, among others. The chairman, Copyright Society of Nigeria, Coson, Chief Tony Okoroji, in his opening remarks said, "The Coson Week is dedicated to the stability, peace and progress of the country," adding that Nigerians should expect an inspiring event, different from anything they have ever seen. He also thanked the distinguished discussants at the occasion for honoring the call by the Coson House and urged all to pay attention to all that will be addressed at the event.
Our very high-powered panel today takes us nowhere. All these brilliant people that we have, how do we employ them, their creativity, their literary skills, their creative skills, their innovative skills, so that our country can move ahead and move forward.
Chairman of the occasion, Emeritus Professor Egerton Eviagara, who is the first chairman of the governing board of the Nigerian Copyright Commission, in his remark, spoke highly of the chairman of the Copyright Society of Nigeria, Coson, Chief Tony Okoroji, saying that he is a man of perfection who has contributed greatly to the stability and development of the Nigerian music industry.
I'm very grateful that I'm made chairman today. I'm grateful to Coson. I'm also grateful to, in particular, to Chief Tony Okoroji. Tony and I have come a long way. The details you can find out if you're interested. I know Tony is very brilliant. He's hardworking. Above all, he's a perfectionist. If you don't want to work, if you are idle, indolent, don't go near Tony. If you go near him, those virtues you should be able to display. Today we're about to talk about, I believe, digital age. Before we gloss over some of the achievements which we made, Tony and I in particular, at the analog era, I may mention one, and we can only build. Before the 80s, recording companies, Philip, the others, made huge profits on the talent of Nigerians because they had money. They record our artists and sell and pay a pittance. Tony and I did that in the Copyright Act, and today, well, I cannot say that he's wealthy because of what we did, but I believe we contributed to his wealth. I believe we've done that.
In his review of the need to protect the intellectual property rights of Nigeria's creative minds, he said Nigerians must begin to pay adequate royalty to the owners of intellectual property. He said he is certain that the panelists selected to discuss the topic will do justice and provide solutions to the issues facing the creative industry. The keynote speaker, Mr. Jeffrey Onyema, in his presentation, took his time to discuss the challenges, benefits and importance of copyrights in Nigeria. Mr. Jeffrey Onyema, who worked with the World Intellectual Property Organization for 30 years as an assistant program officer for development, cooperation and external relations, and later rose through the ranks to become Deputy Director General for the development sector in 2009, undoubtedly did justice to the topic as he gave an in-depth analysis of the policy of intellectual property. To begin, he appreciated Chief Tony Okoroji for establishing an outfit which has been driving Nigeria's creative industry forward. He said he's proud of the Nigerian creative industry because it has served as a beacon of hope and a source of tremendous pride to Nigerians, both home and abroad. Mr. Jeffrey Onyema said the knowledge economy is here to stay, adding that Nigerians must begin to tap into its building blocks to see her tremendous wealth of possibilities. He also said to be competitive in the creative industry, we must build its knowledge capacity. Mr. Jeffrey Onyema urged the government to divert its attention from the current over-reliance on oil and recognize the need to key into the knowledge economy, as that is a sector that has made Nigeria receive global attention. He provided practical solutions to the economic downturn, which includes provision of a policy architecture that will drive the knowledge economy forward, adding that innovation is the key enabler of policy growth.
Nollywood, the musical industry, is such a source of great pride for us. We're going through a period where the image of Nigeria has been so severely dented by, so many different things. And these two industries really stand out as beacons of hope and a source of tremendous pride. And I cannot congratulate Chief Tony enough for what he has done in this industry. The creation of Coson, I know from WIPO, engaging with the copyright sector in Nigeria, and indeed intellectual property sector in Nigeria. What a real achievement is this, the dynamism and the sheer energy and drive that is required to create a, such an outfit. Intellectual property, knowledge economy, because we are in a knowledge economy now, and this is the economy that is generating tremendous wealth around the world. That's completely transformed our world of today. Years gone by, and still to a certain extent today, the bricks and mortars, land, are really the sources of wealth. Manufacturing, agriculture, industry are usually what we rely on for wealth creation. But the knowledge economy has really come, and new sources of wealth, of intangible wealth, has really dawned. And how we in Nigeria especially can put in place the building blocks to tap into that, to create the wealth, to use that as the engine and the motor for the development of our country.
Mr. Basil Udotai, lawyer and managing partner at Technology Advisors, who spoke on Information and Communications Technology ICT, said, ICT has become a veritable tool for economic growth. In his concise and scholarly presentation, Mr. Basil Udotia analyzed the growth of the Republic of China's economy. He said China has shifted from a centrally planned to a market-based economy and has experienced rapid economic and social development. He added that China has been very strategic with their economic upturn, adding that Nigerians must begin to be critical thinkers and recognize moments of innovations.
I didn't think it was a coincidence that the countries that are ranking very high on the global World Intellectual Property ranking are also countries that are doing well in global competitiveness, and they're also leading in innovation. I thought it was reasonable, but for me, it was something that I found extremely interesting. So, which led me to the context. So, why are we doing this intellectual property rights? What's the philosophy? So it means that even though this is a legal assurance that you're given as a creative guy or someone who has funds, have access to research, that for a limited amount of time, like the minister said, you have a commercial opportunity to exploit that creativity, that right, either on your own, or you can also have someone else do it for you. In these categories of rights, in the limitation that the minister clearly articulated. And in addition, we would also have tools that would maintain market integrity. Nobody would come up with anything that looks like yours. Nobody would deal in any arrangement with you that tend to leverage on your trade secrets and so on and so forth without your consent and so on and so forth.
The panel of distinguished discussants, which was moderated by Mr. Basil Udotia, was made up of Mr. Obi Asika, co-founder, Cabal Entertainment and member, Coson Board, Mr. Emeka Mba, former DG, National Fame and Video Censors Board, and former DG, National Broadcasting Commission, Mr. Mena Ajakbove, lawyer and chairman, Nigerian Bar Association Section on Business Law, and Mr. Obi Ezelo, Lagos Zonal Manager of the Nigerian Copyright Commission, NCC. It was an informative session as the panelists debated on the issue of intellectual property. Mr. Emeka Mba said, digitization is transformative and it is the gateway to possibilities. He said Nigerians must begin to do what is right to see that those who make music must get adequate compensation for their intellectual property.
This is what is important. If you get into a position, and maybe the requirement of getting into positions should be, the question should be, what are you going to do to change? Because these are problems that will exist. I mean, it may not be a good example, but if you look at an issue in the US now with the gentleman, Scott Pruitt, who heads the Environmental Protection Agency in the US, who is obtaining so many of the Obama executive orders, and he's very pro-business. But he's moving in a direction because a regulator, you know, I've been a regulator, but the way that we work, the way that it should work, is that you first understand what you want to do. In whose interest is it? Is it in the interest of the stakeholders, the business people? Is it in the interest of the general public? And you have to find a way to manage this too.
Mr. Obi Asika emphasized on the intellectual robbery of the creative industry, saying that the Nigerian music industry is blessed with varied acts that have continually flooded the airwaves. He urged all to collectively support our own and see that those who work hard reap from their labor of ingenuity.
So it's not just about the creators, because I keep hearing this thing about how the music people need to be structured and have business plans, and it's nonsense. It's about the ecosystem. It's not about the individual artist. It's about the larger ecosystem that is in the environment. And the truth of the matter, unfortunately, as you showed with the laws that have happened for 50 years, or the lack of progress, is the exact same problem with Nigeria, in the sense that we have not invested in Nigerians.
Mr. Mena Ajakbove said Nigerians need to go back to the drawing board, as there is a critical infrastructural deficit that needs to be addressed. He said the most profitable companies are knowledge-based. Therefore, the government must do what is right to protect the creative minds who are so far putting Nigeria on a global scale. He added that our leaders need to revamp the process of governance.
Before now, the most profitable company were in the extractive industry. You had the Mobiles, you had the Shell, you have the Chevrons, you have the extract BHP, Billington. Those were the most profitable companies. But in one fell swoop, there was a change. Now the most profitable company are knowledge-based. And most of them are found in one geographical location, the Silicon Valley. Now look at the history of California. It's home to most schools, to the finest technology schools around. You have them in California. They feed, they give scholarship, they invite people from the whole world to come, and you feed them. So the raw material you need to develop that industry is right there. Do we have that here? We are still talking about resource control. The Taiwanese, they woke up and said, because we did not have natural minerals to dig, to extract from, what did they do? They dug into their brains. That's the example of the Taiwanese. They dug into their brains and they came up with microchip, those industry, technology industry, servicing China, servicing the whole world. It's not until we do that, we go back to the basics, we cannot play in the game.
Mr. Obiezelo, in his discourse, said the federal government needs to activate the private copy levy, which awards compensation to right owners, as provided in the Nigerian constitution, adding that the music must pay indeed.
But let me also say that I do not really think that the copyright law we are in Nigeria is that bad. I think we are pushing it a little bit too far, really. Because I mean I've had us compare the copyright law in Nigeria and a lot of many other countries. What are the real differences? What are the real challenges? You know, we have sufficient provisions in the copyright law to capture a number of deliverables, but the infrastructural challenges, in fact, both human and material challenges, and like I said, the system of governance affects the implementation of so many things that can be done, even with the present law.
The event also featured a session of questions, which members of the panel provided answers to.
Well, Coson is really working. Well, Coson have been working, definitely, like trying to make the people's rights music have values, allow people's music pay, so we can earn from it with the artists. So they really added value to us.
Yeah, I do street music, I do street rap, you know. There's a way to communicate to my crowd, you know. My music is for people like me, the less privileged, the high in society, everybody you get. Age is the money made with soft, he body ginger, yeah, baby made with ball. Adam said, I want to touch you, that is all. Shakara done the too much, see the body made me fall.
Yeah, I'd say it's been cool. It's awesome. You know, like in Tops, you know, we do things differently. You know, we share ideas together. We work like one family. You know, so and that's the most important thing. You know, so it's been nice, believe me. Yeah, sure. You know, check out Dozy, the King of Melody. Yeah, I'll be doing something tonight. Like I've been doing something on the Coson in the church. You know, I did something. So right here, I'm being invited for the Green Ball. You know, so just check out dope, nice tones, vocals. You know, the best from Dozy, the King of Melody. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like we used to hear, Coson has been working. Like let the music pay. Yeah, I believe that you're doing so much. You know, we can see from every effort, you know, they have been putting in place, you know, bringing the Coson Week event, you know, trying to tell people more about, you know, intellectual property, you know, so they have to tackle how, you know, music owners and songwriters, you know, should benefit a lot from their talent, you know, so they're working a lot towards it. I can tell you, you know, I see the promo, I see everything online, you know. Yeah, they're doing well. Yeah. I'm a member of, you know, Coson, so definitely, you know, it's gonna get to me, you know. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And you have a lovely smile also, you know. Yeah, thank you. All right, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
What inspires me is most times when I listen to good instrumentals, I get to have this inspiration. And once I have that inspiration, I always make sure that my pen and paper is close to me, so I can start writing out my lyrics and everything. So my experience has been, I would say, the label, they're doing their own best, and as an artist I'm also doing my own best. So I would say they're trying, that's all, they're trying, and I'm very glad to be on the label. Sure. Woo. You're going to be expecting a lot of performance, like hotty, you know? It's going to be hot, that's all. It's going to be good, yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. Yes.
No. It's going to be great. I mean, I promise you. Trust me, it's going to be awesome. Yeah. The fact that Coson gave and is still giving young talents a hand in the music industry, right? By taking up
artists from the streets, giving them a life, giving them a voice, giving them platforms and everything. It's really a good thing. Encouraging talented musicians is a really good thing.
Nothing short of the wow experience that you get each time you have a Tony organizing. Tony is the best organizer that I know, master organizer. Like you heard, who was that saying earlier on today? Actually, it was Egete Ngoviagara, the man we call Mr. Intellectual Property. He says, Tony is a perfectionist, never settles for less. And I agree with him. Well, I've been interviewed by 3 different television stations, and all I said I'm going to repeat. Thank God for the emergence of Coson. Now musicians will retain their dignity, their respectability. They don't go knocking and almost turning themselves into destitutes because there's money to be made. And Coson is accounting for the money. Because these days they get paid, they get royalties in millions, and they get distributed properly, managed.
No, I'm expecting, wonderful people, incredible entertainment, the finest dining you can find, and that by the time we leave here, there's a lot more, love across people in Nigeria. We expect people to shake hands, whether from the north, the south, the east, and the west, make friends and make Nigeria better. I believe that everything is possible. I believe that this nation can get it right. When people tell me something is not working or something is not possible, I say no. Everything is possible. One of the first things you ought to do, if you have a dictionary, please go look for that word impossible and just scratch it. It doesn't exist. Everything can be done. Right? No, we're going to have a good time. Everybody that comes here. And I hope that people who are watching on TV, can see the power of Nigerian creativity. The fact that nothing is impossible to us.
Oh, Coson is wonderful. They are doing a great job. Mrs. Coson is here. They are doing a great job. Thanks to Coson.
As part of activities to celebrate the 2017 Coson Week, the Coson Green Ball was held on Wednesday, the 1st of November 2017 at the Muson Center, Onikon, Lagos. Coson has no doubt been a strong pillar holding the entertainment industry under the chairmanship of Chief Tony Okoroji. One of the highlights of the Coson Week, which was the Green Ball event, witnessed the gathering of the cream de la cream of the society at the Shell Hall of the Muson Center, all dressed with a touch of green, the national color of Nigeria. Dignitaries who graced the event were Senator Ademola Adeleke, who represented the President of the Senate, Senator Bukola Saraki. The Director General, Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, NTDC, Mr. Fulani Koka, represented the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Muhammad. First Chairman, Nigerian Copyright Commission, Emeritus Professor Egete Ngoviagara. Chairman and CEO, Biscan Communications, Prince Bisi Olatilo. The Chief Host of the occasion, Chairman, Copyright Society of Nigeria, Coson, Chief Tony Okoroji, and many others. The event kicked off with the grand entry of the Chairman of Coson, Chief Tony Okoroji. To lead in the singing of the national anthem was young and talented Florentina. In his remarks, Chief Tony Okoroji spoke on the objectives of the Coson Week, as well as the purpose of the Coson Green Ball event. He appreciated the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Muhammad, whom he said was unavoidably absent due to some national duties. He thanked him for being a pillar of strength at the forefront of the change process which is being experienced in the creative industry. He urged all to relax and enjoy the best of the night.
We are Acquisition Center for the Coson Green Ball. For those who are interested, tomorrow at Road Park, the stars of Nigeria will be battling on the table tennis board, at the Coson All-Stars Table Tennis Blowout. All the celebrities I know want to defeat one guy, Simi Dakolo, who is the champion of the Coson All-Stars Table Tennis Blowout. They've sworn that they're taking the ₦1 million prize at the top. Tomorrow we'll find out whether they do that. Of course, I've said that on Friday, we'll be at the mosque, at the Surulere Central Mosque, to worship God with our Muslim colleagues. And then on Saturday, we'll be doing something for me that is touching. We are inviting Nigerian children between the ages of 10 and 15 to the ultra-modern Coson House in Ikeja. I want to begin to bring them to understand this incredible subject called intellectual property and how that will matter as we go forward. And then, of course, on Sunday, we will have the climax of the Coson Week.
The Explicit Dance Group, all the way from Ibadan, sets the hall ablaze with their energetic performance, which earned them a standing ovation. It was indeed a breathtaking performance that lightened up the atmosphere and got all glued to the stage. Talented Nigerian entertainer, comedian, musician, actor and event compere Kofi Ayinde Idowu, professionally known as Kofi, was the event compere. With his rib-cracking jokes, Kofi got all laughing from start to finish.
You see, in this country, forget to, I go talk am as a be. Small man thief, then give am sentence, death sentence. How much he thief that man? How much that man thief? If you are going to thief in this country, Senator, forgive me, it's not part of, it's just joke. If you are going to thief in this country, please thief well. If you are going to criminal well. Because if you criminal yeyeli, they will yeye you. They will yeye you in this country. If you do say you dey kidnap, no go kidnap fowl or goat. The way they will take you for neighborhood, born you tire. Evans still dey burn out for this country. That is because they know say he get money and they know say the money still dey. Now when they collect everything for a hand finish, they know say yes, coconut oil no dey vaccine. If you know, they catch Evans. Nigerian police they take picture with Evans. Oh, Evans, I say, at that point, every other kidnapper go to press it. Oh, we don't enter. See level, see our shamo. Police they take selfie with kidnapper, celebrity kidnapper. Sote, they even call press, special press interview. One press, they come sit down, they ask them, listen attentively. How do you do it? Just in case he reveals how he does it and their work no pay, they go down learn from him.
Dozy, a talented young artist signed to Tops Entertainment, managed by Chief Tony Okoroje, was the first act of the night. As expected, the budding talent serenaded the hall with good music, which created the right feeling in the atmosphere. One of the highlights of the event was the performance by veteran Nigerian reggae maestro Rasky Mono, as he took the audience down memory lane with his hit songs from the 90s. Undoubtedly, the audience had a good time as they all jived energetically to the rhythm of the beat. The June 12 girl, Cassie, maintained the tempo with her sonorous voice as she performed.
They care for me with love, carrying giants. Oh yeah, hey, hey, oh yeah, loving giants. You they care for me with love, carrying giants. Oh baby, I they love you like you love it. You they love me like kilo day. Hey, kilo day. You they love me like kilo day. Kilo day.
Chairman and CEO Biscon Communications, Prince Bisi Olatilo, supervised the fundraising session, which is an aid of Coson Music Foundation, the non-profit trust set up to support indigent musicians and musicians in distress. In the remarks by the Senate President, Senator Bukola Saraki, delivered by Senator Ademola Adeleke, he said it was a great pleasure to be honored at the Coson Week. He commended the efforts of Chief Tony Okoroji for projecting the Nigerian entertainment industry in a positive light. He added that Chief Tony Okoroji has single-handedly fought against the infringement of intellectual property of musicians, which is very commendable. Senator Bukola Saraki added that Chief Tony Okoroji is an icon and a pillar in the entertainment industry, and urged him not to relent in his efforts in shaping the creative industry.
There is growing appreciation that intellectual property, indeed talent, is an asset like any other. Chief Okoroji is a true leader who is now recognized as a pillar of entertainment in Nigeria. Thank you very much. I especially appreciate your efforts towards ensuring that some of our entertainment legends hitherto unsung are given their due recognition and celebrated by Coson. Last year, celebration of Benson Indonesi at 80 was in this vein, showing appreciation to a legendary broadcaster and former manager of Fela, someone who younger parishioner can emulate and learn from. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a night for long speeches. Let me assure you that you can always count on our support and the support of the 8th Senate. We take pride in your achievement because they are also Nigerian achievements. For that, let the music play. Let the music play. Long live Coson. Let the music play. Thank you very much.
To crown all performances of the night was Juju music maestro Sir Shina Peters, who dazzled guests with a very energetic performance.
Ẹ jọ̀wọ́, kí ló ń pè ní creator? Olùdásílẹ̀. Mo ní kí ló ń pè ní founder? Olùdásílẹ̀. Olúwa Shina Peters, olùdásílẹ̀ Afro Juju. Àtìsọ tẹ́lẹ̀ rí, ayé òde pátá dáradà wọ́n kàn lè fọwọ́ aago sẹ́yìn ni. Àsìkò àwa youth rèé ó kàn yé bí inú wa. Ọ̀ṣọ́ ni yọ ṣàgó. Kò sí bọ́ ṣe máa dúdú tàbí kọrin àfojúdi tó máa dàbí ẹni tó ní. Kò sí bọ́ ṣe máa dúdú tàbí kọrin àfojúdi tó máa dàbí ẹni tó ní. oníkọlájẹ́ oṣó ọmọ pétérù kìíde o ṣínà peter zola tó jùjú àpòtìkò ìbẹ̀lìjà o.
Chief Tony Okoroji, in the closing remarks, appreciated all for gracing the occasion. He especially thanked Senator Florence Itagiwa and Senator Ademola Adeleke for their continued support for the Copyright Society of Nigeria, adding that the 2019 Coson Green Bowl event will be greater than this, as he wished all Johnny Mercers back to their various destinations. It was merriment all the way as the event was brought to an end. Stay tuned as we bring you more programs of the 2017 Coson Week.